Hey guys, what is up? I am exhausted. I am pissed off. And I could not do this alone, guys. I could not do this alone. I just found this Philly plant. What is it? Planet 76 Philly.
Planet 76.
Planet 76 Philly. I'm here with my guy Troy. Give him a sub. His podcast is in the description below, along with his link tree. It's also pinned in the description. Let the people know where they can find you before we get started.
Yeah. So my name's Troy. I co-host a podcast called Planet 76 with a good friend of mine, Michael. And we've been covering Sixers basketball since 2021. The playoffs that year, we're over 150 or so episodes in, and we love it. We love doing it weekly through the playoffs. It was short-lived this year, but through the playoffs, we actually give a video breakdown, Planet 76 5-minute recap of every single 76ers playoff game. We love it. Available. We have an Instagram page to let you know when things are coming out. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all that good stuff. So appreciate you having me on, Mitch. It's kind of interesting circumstance, but happy to be here for sure.
Hey, I was planning on having you on next week, but then you were like, hey, today works. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
why
you know
not? Let's
what?
do it.
Let's just shoot this shit now. Let's just talk now because I'm sure you got to get a lot off your chest. I have to get a lot off my chest. So I'm going to let you start. What's the first thing that boggles your mind about last night in this series?
It's so frustrating. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like I wish they would have just done it in game 5 because we were all prepared. It was like it's over. Like I had my hand on the remote, like turning it off, and then Maxi does what Maxi does, and we live to see another day. And it continued as cool as that was, but like you can't take care of business at home in game 6. Kind of heartbreaking, and to lose back to back at home in the series in game 6 just really hurts. Would have loved to see it push to 7 and see what they could have done in New York again, but yeah, I think the word that comes to mind is pain, man. It
Yes.
sucks.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, dude. I'm right there with you. I honestly had no faith that it was going to go to 7. I just had a feeling it was going to end tonight because we can't close out. This 76ers team cannot close out for the right of me. My people in my chat were asking me when I first started this before the series, what are you afraid of the Knicks, Mitch? I'm like, no, I'm afraid of us closing out. There's a complete difference here. New York, they got dogs. Hart, DiVincenzo, McBride, my favorite player over there.
That's my
They
favorite
got,
player, yeah.
oh, hey, let's go. I love McBride. I love McBride. No one talks about him, so it's kind of nice we support him on the other side.
Yeah.
But, dude, it just comes down to one thing for me, Tobias. That's the first player that comes to my mind. Game 5, he had 19 points, 8 boards. This game, 0 points. I don't even know how many boards. It doesn't really matter. You can talk about defense. There's barely no defense at all, anyways. There's barely no defense. So when you're not contributing and you only put up 2 shots, no free throws,
Hmm.
I'm like, what is this going on? And people in the chat already talk about Tobias. So Tobias has to be tore in the offseason on scoring 0 points, and he didn't step up in game 6. Like, give me your thoughts on Tobias.
Yeah, so Tobias, I've always supported. But even just these last 6 games, it's been harder to do that. Michael and I both on Planet 76 have been a fan of Tobias. And I think one thing that we've always said is you can't blame Tobias Harris for the contract that he signed, right? Because we didn't, you didn't say he was going to become a player that was going to be worthy of that contract. No one thought that. So why do we blame him for signing that contract? Like blame the Sixers for giving him that contract. But 0 points in game 6 at home in a elimination game, like you can't defend that at all. So very frustrated, and we needed him. I mean, he's the difference. I mean, a lot of people are saying it. If he does anything in this series, it's not a close series. We're going to win it, and he didn't show up. So good
Of course.
riddance. And his last game as a Sixer for sure.
Of course, of course. He's been my X factor through this entire series. Him and Cameron Payne, they've been
Mhm.
my 2 X factors throughout the entire series. But when you're getting paid that much and you're not contributing, does it like bother you inside? Like, okay, I can play better. I know I can do better. Let me help out and contribute. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all. I just don't understand. Now, he is leaving. I think he's going to Detroit because they offered us Bogdanovich and Alec Burks for him, and
Mhm.
we said no. I can understand with Bogdanovich's contract. I can understand that, but we had to get him off the books. Now we do. Oh
Yeah.
my God, we have like 60 mil in cap space. 60 mil. And now they're talking about Paul George, LeBron, Brandon Ingram, all these guys. So, what would you do with that 60 mil in cap space?
I think you got to get one of those guys. I think that, I mean, obviously a factor this year because we brought in a haul of guys, maybe got a little deeper, but James Harden goes out and he's a star, right? Regardless of what you want to say about James Harden, he's a star in this league and still capable. And we didn't replenish, right? We didn't get that back. We added supporting cast around Embiid and Maxey, which
Yeah,
was good. Like there's some guys that did good things this year, but I think you got to go get one of those guys. I'm interested in Paul George. Saw someone say Jimmy Butler today. That would be a funny reunion.
I've
But one
seen
of the
Jimmy
Brendan
Butler.
Ingram, even. I mean, any of those guys that can score and give you something off the wing would be good.
Now, for me, I'm not about like that big three. I'm not
Mhm.
about that kind of team. So for me, you know who I would go with? Malik Monk, Bruce Brown, or throwing Nicholas Claxton in there. But I think Nicholas Claxton's going to stay in Brooklyn because they need him. So
Mhm.
I would definitely go with Bruce Brown, Malik Monk. Malik Monk is 6 man of the year, should have won, but
Yeah.
that's the guy we need. Lou Will type. We haven't had a guy like Lou Will in like what TJ McConnell to an extent. He had 20 points last night.
Right. Yeah, he
So
had like
that's for
20 and
me. I
10
would
or
take
something.
Malik
Yeah.
Monk. And my
Okay.
guy
That's fair. That's fair.
and my guy Blaze would say marketing. He's been a huge fan of marketing. So he's actually a part of the Hardcore Sports Network. So shout out to
Okay.
him. But yeah, marketing would be an excellent fit. Tell me about marketing.
Yeah, I think that works. That works. So he came onto the scene obviously over the last couple of years, just continues to get better. One of those guys
Mhm.
that continues to improve. It's almost like he reminds me of some of the guys on the Knicks, like who have just steadily improved over the years. And I think he fits. Um, I think the encouraging thing that with a lot of these guys we're naming, like we're not after a point guard because Tyrese Maxey is him. Like he's done just an amazing job adjusting year after year, and we don't need to fill that role, but we need to add some pieces around these guys for sure.
Yeah, of course. I mean, this bench, like, this is the best game that Buddy Hield has had in his whole playoffs. You got him, Batum, who stepped up. I've been a huge fan of Batum
Yeah,
ever
he's been
since
good.
we got him. He's a perfect guy next to Joel Embiid with the entry passes, the quick release in the corner. So he really stepped up as well. But one guy is not messing up. One guy messed up, Kyle Lowry.
Mm.
Kyle Lowry, I wanted him because of his veteran leadership and all that, but what happened to Kyle Lowry?
Lowry, yeah, he struggled all series. I think he sometimes almost like he's the guard version of PJ Tucker from last year,
Yeah.
and there were moments when he kind of makes an impact that goes beyond the box score,
Mhm.
but it wasn't the last two games, right? He just didn't do much at all, and yeah, he was a liability out there. I mean, we had two guys on the starting lineup that didn't score points. That's a problem in a closeout game. So
That is very, very crucial. Kyle Lowry is a defensive liability. He's
yeah,
a defensive liability over there. I mean, like, you've been seeing Jalen Brunson just attacking the rim, attacking him, drawing the fouls. Kyle Lowry's got to retire. And I'm a huge fan of Kyle Lowry.
yeah,
Villanova, you know, I loved his story. I loved all that, but he got to hang it up, bro. You
yeah.
agree? 38?
38.
You got to agree?
Yeah, it's time.
I mean, it's just crazy. My question is, why would he not play Cameron Payne more?
I thought
Cameron
that
Payne
too.
is my guy. Like, one of them.
Yeah, I thought that as well. He came onto the scene obviously in this series after the first couple games, and it was like, all right, he needs to play him. He did. He executed. But even last night, he had like a crazy. Joella was in trouble. He got it to Campaign, who drove around the rim, took it around the backboard, hooked it back out for someone for a wide open three. Like other guys off the bench aren't able to do the things that he does. And the reason I like Campaign myself, as opposed to like Lowry, is because I think stylistically, I'm not saying he's Tyrese Maxey, but he is quick. He is fast. He can do a lot of the same kind of things. And so, like, when you go from starting lineup to the bench unit, you're not changing that much in a sense from a scheme because he kind of does similar things. And he's been good. A lot of people didn't like that move, but Sixers won that move for sure, especially with what Pat Bev's doing last night, getting in trouble. So, yeah, you got to like that one.
Yeah. And by the way, game, it's the light. My light is too bright. I've set it up. So you think my nose is not. It's the light. I'm all good, man. I'm not allergic to anything. So I'm all good, bro. Thank you for asking. But yeah, I want to go back to Buddy Hield real quick. Started out very promising, and then it fell off. The first 4 games, 20 plus points, then 6 assists. Then everybody's like, pair him up with Embiid. Pair him up with Embiid. What happened? It's just like mental blockage, I think. Like, what exactly happened to Buddy Hield from then to now? Like, now he just caught fire.
Yeah, I think Buddy, what I've said on our show quite a bit is, at least recently, toward the end of the season, and then throughout the series, like, he would get out there for a couple minutes, shoot a couple shots, miss, go to the bench. In the next game, he'd come back in, play 3 minutes, shoot 3 shots, miss. And he never really got into the rhythm of the game. And even last night, before he went on his tear, he had a couple fumbles with the ball. He had a couple issues, but then Nick Nurse kept him in. And I think that was the difference maker. I think Buddy's one of those guys that has to just get in the flow of the game. It's kind of a different role that he's had this year, especially when he came to Philly. So I think the more he plays, the more likely he is to get in the flow and knock down some shots. And that's what we saw last night.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Buddy Hield ever since he was coming out of Oklahoma. That was the year that we took Ben Simmons #1. I said to my dad, and I will never forget this, can we trade back? Can we trade back just to get this guy? Because he was a shooter out of Oklahoma, the best shooter. Now that we get him, he stinks. We could have had him before with the Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
That would have been nice. That would have been nice. But now we still got Buddy Hield. Do you think we re-sign him? Do you think he stays?
It was hilarious last night. I hopped on Twitter, hopped on X, I should say, and a couple guys after he had those issues last night were like, "Well, that's his last game, his last minute in a Sixers uniform, and then he does what he does." And I don't know. I think it's worth another shot. Certainly, I think again, you look at some of the guys that are similar to Buddy Hield and how much success they've had alongside Joel Embiid, in years, like JJ Redick, Seth Curry, like they have career high numbers and they're shooters just like Buddy. So I think it's worth a shot. Give him another chance. Give him a full season to play alongside Joel.
Now, how many years would you give him though? I don't think I would give him like 3. I don't think I would give him 3, but if they give him 3, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give him up to it.
Yeah, 3 max for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking up how old he is because I'm honestly forgetting. He's 31.
Yeah.
So you can give him 3 years. That is a little pushing it.
Yeah.
But if he gives him like a 2 years and a team option on the third, that's what I'm okay with. That's what I'm okay. Because if he doesn't perform year 3, see you later. Right. Goodbye. Right. So, yeah, Buddy will be 32. Malik Monk is younger. We need to get younger. I agree with you 1,000%. 1,000%. Malik Monk is a dog. He can put up 15 to 18 off the bench. That's the guy I wanted for like since Kentucky. Shout out to my guy Blaze Radio, huge Kentucky fan. Shout out to you. But yeah, it's just this team, man. It just questions me. Now let's go back to when Joel Embiid came here, when he came back after his injury, and we were just dwindling down, going down. Did you want us in the play-in? Because I did not. I wanted us in the 6th seed. We're going to take on Milwaukee. So did you want us down there? Or
that's where I was. Yeah, I was on the same page with you. We were calculating even on our show, like, all right, how many do we have to win to get in without having to play in the play-in? And then we still went on a tear at the end of the season. We still couldn't avoid it. Yeah, I definitely didn't want the play-in. I was happy, obviously, with what we did to end the season and getting Joel back, but it wasn't quite enough. Milwaukee would have been nice, especially with their injury issues.
Yeah, Milwaukee. That's a storybook. It would have been a storybook ending.
Yeah.
It would have been so funny. They're like, okay, now we eliminated a guy that costed us a couple years. Now he's out. You can say Giannis has been out, but he is gone in the first round. So it's the same thing on both sides. So Uh, Nick Nurse, bro. Like, what happened with Nick Nurse? Like, he was supposed to be like this great guy, giving all the young guys, young dogs, some playing time. Ricky Council got no minutes. KJ Martin got no minutes. What is going on with Nick Nurse?
Yeah, some of those guys could have had an impact, I think, in this series, and they never got the opportunity to. I think the best coaching decision I saw from Nurse was giving the green light to Buddy Hield again after a couple games off in Game
Yeah,
6 last night. Obviously, it worked out. Hindsight's 2020. I'm going to say that, but um, he certainly had his issues, and I think the most staggering thing to me is the defense was incredible on Jalen Brunson the first 2 games, and then it was just not. And Jalen Brunson's incredible, but um, just not good enough
yeah,
defensively, scheme wise to limit him. He beat us last night. He's the reason we lost. He had
yeah,
14 in the fourth quarter, right? So
yeah, yeah. But I want to talk about Miami playing real quick because he could not beat the zone. He
mm,
could not beat the Miami Heat zone. And then now you go up against New York, who's the best defense in the entire league. And I knew he was going to have some issues. I know this. But it's just like you had these games in the bag. You had them, just can't close them out when they matter the most. So it's just like, I don't know what Josh Harris is going to do from here now. He's too busy with the Commanders, I think, now. You got to start blaming that office there. You got to start blaming on somebody. Why not Josh Harris? Why not Daryl Morey? Why not Ellen Brand? It's like, you guys built this roster. Now you got to lie in it.
yeah,
Now, I feel something different about this series. I feel different. It's not, I'm used to losing. I'm used to losing when it comes to this team. I'm sure you are too.
yep,
So it's just like, I'm used to it, but it's just like last year did not hurt as much as this. Do
mm.
you think, or do you feel like last year hurt worse than this?
That's funny. I was actually thinking that to myself this morning. I think this year the games were just harder to watch, right? Because last year against the Celtics, there were a couple blowouts. Like we stole game 1, it was a close game, but then game 2, Boston routed us, and there was like, all right, whatever. We kind of expected that, and then there were a couple other close games, but like this one just hurt more. Like it stung. It's the Knicks. They're annoying. They're chippy. I don't like any of their players besides Deuce McBride. Like it just bothered me to lose to a team like that. And I think it bothers you more because like you think you can beat them. I still think we're better than the Knicks. Like it just bothers me that we weren't through 6 games. So
To me,
yeah, I think you're onto something there.
what bothers me the most is that they took over Wells Fargo Center not once but twice. They took over, and then what's that guy's name? The guy from the Fanatic, Michael Rubin. He bought 2,000 seats for Sixers fans, and he still had Knicks fans taking it over.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what is with this fan base? I get we're a football town, I get that, but you guys show them some love. I would not pay money for that. Like, I would not have gone.
Right.
So, how do you feel about this fan base right now? To me, I'm just like questioning it.
Yeah, a little bit. It's crazy how, I mean, you can really hear the Knicks fans, and obviously Michael Rubin's pretty cool to do what they did, but I didn't notice much of a difference in between game 4 and game 6. Um, Even in the regular season, Knicks fans show up in Philadelphia. So I'm not reading too much into it, but I mean, Joel was onto something too. It sucks. It's a little bothersome when that happens. It's a big game, big series. It's the playoffs, and we can't get our own people in the seats. That's a problem.
Yeah, it is definitely a problem because you look at what my guy Arku said, Big Thunder, Big Mavericks fan. Did Ellen Brand give Tobias? I call him Tobias because I've been calling that for so many years. The guy is just terrible. So now they all say it too. $40 million extension. It was Ellen Brand because of this whole thing with Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, Brett Brown. It's just like they were backed into a corner. They were back into a corner, and they were like they couldn't afford to lose him and Butler. So they're like, at that time, fine, we'll give it to you. We'll give it to you. And now he's the most overpaid player that never made an All-Star game. It's just like,
No doubt.
yeah, it is a rivalry, Arku. It is definitely a rivalry in the making. I mean, you have shoving, you got physical altercations and stuff like this. So for me, I'm here for it. Are you here for this rivalry? I'm sure you are.
I am. It's like I said though, just a minute ago. They're annoying, dude. Like it. I said this to Michael on Planet 76. I said after the first two games, I felt like we went through a whole 7-game series. Like it was grueling, and like you think about the ease of the first round last year against the Nets, where we swept them. Like even last night, I was thinking if we win this, like it's just the first round series, which we typically get past, and couldn't even get past them this time. But they're annoying. But I'm here for it. I think Joel's here for it. Tyrese is in on it, so I'm good.
Yeah. Now, when I first started my Sixers content creation a couple years ago, I always clowned the New York Knicks. Like I would make troll videos, I would do all that, right? I would always clown them. There would always be like the little brother and all that stuff. The Knicks fans were so mad at me, they DM'd me every single day for 2 years straight. So I had them so bad. Some of them came back after last night. I got a couple DMs this morning. A couple of them came back. So it's just like I am here for the rivalry. I'm here for the fans. I'm here for all of it. It's good for the league. It is very good for the league to see something else, not just not just like the Miami Heat, Boston, and all this stuff. We're gonna live through this for years, especially with Brunson and Maxey. Brunson versus Maxey. That's gonna be the rivalry that people are gonna talk about for a couple of years now. So how do you feel about Brunson versus Maxey?
Yeah, you're right. You're onto something there for sure. I Brunson annoys me like no other. He's annoyed me since he was at Villanova. So I'm actually the reason I'm a Deuce McBride fan is because I actually born and raised in West Virginia, and so I'm a big Mountaineer fan. And Brunson knocked us out in the Sweet 16 way back when. So I've always had a little grudge toward him about that. But he's a phenomenal basketball player, and Tyrese, man, this year most improved and worthy of it every single year since he's been in the league, really. But they definitely got something going on there, and I'm here for it.
I am too. And dude, I'm gonna be honest here. When Brunson left Dallas and went head to New York and he got that contract, I thought he was overpaid, bro. I thought he was not even worth that contract, and he made me eat my words after these last 2 years. So that made me think Brunson and Maxey. I'm telling you, it's going to be an all-time rivalry if it's all said and done correctly. Like if no one leaves on bad terms, no one goes to a different team or whatever, I'm here for it. And especially how Brunson was getting all those calls last night and not Maxey. So it's just like, when is Maxey going to get these calls? And do you honestly blame the refs? Do you blame the refs at all for last night? Because I'm not into that.
I'm not into that either. I don't. Although I did make a funny video on our Planet 76 podcast page, if you want to check that on Instagram. But I don't blame them for last night. I certainly blame them for what happened in Game 2, but not for last night. I think I told you right before we jumped on live. I think the biggest swing in the game did come late third quarter. Tyrese, takes it down the other end, a little bit of a fast break, gets hacked like no other, falls to the ground, no call. Sixers are up 3 at that time. Knicks run it down, get OG Anunoby wide open 3. They tie the game. It's tied going into the fourth. And at that moment, I was like, this is not good. That's the momentum swing. It's a 5-point swing right there in itself. And
yeah,
I do blame the ref for that one, but not for losing the game. Knicks beat us last night. Not enough guys stepped up. So
yeah, I completely agree with you 1000%. And then now you were talking about let's stick to the refs because they had that big 2 refs that everyone hates. I'm drawing a blank. Foster. I think it's Foster, and I'm drawing a blank on the other guy. But they were called the series extenders. That's their nicknames. So they were called the series extenders. And then if you have the ESPN app, they were already set in stone for Saturday at 7 p.m. Already set in stone for Game 7. And then you look at Pacers and Bucks, they were not even set. So I'm like, were they trying to push a narrative to have the Knicks and Sixers go to 7? Because I would not want that. I did not want that at all. I'm being honest here. I don't want to lose in that arena. I don't want to lose it, dude. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. And yes, special cards, or I call them Spongy, the Sixers offseason targets. Paul George, Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, 60 mil. I'm just not for it, bro. I am just not for it. I'm like the Denver Nuggets. Yes, they do have a big three in Jokic, Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. Yes. Could we get like a Paul George, who I'm not really a fan of? I don't want him here. Jimmy Butler would be hilarious. Brandon Ingram has Kevin Durant attributes, but he doesn't show up in the nick of the moment either. Look what he did for the Pelicans against the Thunder. Nowhere to be found. So I'm not for these. I want Bruce Brown, Malik Monk. If you could get Claxton, I'm fine with it. Because Paul Reed, it's not it.
Mm.
Give me your opinion about Paul Reed.
Woo. Playoff time, sure. What I mean, you look at the minute. I mean, we've been talking about non-Joel Embiid minutes for years since the Sixers first made the playoffs with Joel Embiid, and it was the same case this year. And so I think that when it comes to Paul Reed in the playoffs, yeah, I mean, we could use another guy. I mean, look at Andre Drummond when he was here. Look at Dwight Howard sometimes when he was here. Like, we've had some guys. Paul Reed's just a little undersized, and he's not good enough on the perimeter or anything like that, or skilled with the ball enough to play the four. So he's kind of in limbo there with Paul Reed.
Yeah, but you go with a Paul Reed. Now his contract is not guaranteed, so he is now a free agent. He can walk. So when you look at all this empty contracts from the beginning of the year, I've been saying the chat can tell you firsthand. I said it was a gap year. I honestly said it was a gap year because look at all this free money we're going to have this offseason. They're not going to compete. And they were showing some signs that we're not going to compete, like resting certain guys when they should have been playing. Just the whole fall from grace, being in the play-in, getting past Miami Heat into the round of New York Knicks. So for me, it's just like I saw it coming to an extent. Do you believe that this was like a gap year?
I think there's a little evidence toward that, again, based on the moves or lack thereof that the Sixers did make this year, even at the deadline, right? Like, you get rid of Springer and then, campaign for Pat Bev and, those kind of moves. I mean, the most significant moves they made was the James Harden move way back when, right, in early November.
Yeah.
And so I think there's some stock to that. And again, just do the numbers or look at the guys on paper, like who you bring in and who you let go of with James Harden, right? Like, there's a gap there. And so I think there's some stock to that, and there's potential, obviously, this offseason, as much as I hate to talk about the offseason, like already, but there is potential, and there's something to be excited about. Whether that is they go after a star like you don't want necessarily, but I will say this to that point. I think that if you don't go get a star, you have to be absolutely certain that these role players you bring in are going to gel and mesh well.
Yeah.
And how you go about doing that, I don't know. And even they have to be a little step above what we have this year, even with, like, again, you mentioned Nick Batum, or you mentioned Buddy Hield. Like, we need someone who's a little better than that, is going to bring it a little more consistently.
And then you look at Melton, and then you look at Robert Covington, who's nowhere to be found. And
Literally.
I'm like, I've been saying this for a couple months now. If Robert Covington was here and he was available, he would have started, and you would have had Tobias Harris come off the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the one piece we've been missing. Yes, you put Nicholas Batum in there. That works to an extent. And then Paul Reed, like, we barely see that. So we were missing a big time four. And Robert Covington had some experience in the small ball five. So for me, I'm like, that was a big piece. And damn, yeah, he's going to be gone. Covington's going to be gone. Melton's going to be gone. Who else do you think will be gone? Like, who do you think will keep?
Well, I do think the one you mentioned, Paul Reed, is kind of an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
I don't know campaign situation off the top of my head, but I'd love for him to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said earlier, if Buddy didn't do what he did last night, he was for sure gone. It's amazing what playing just a few minutes can do, but I think he could stay, and I'm for that one.
Spongy, I disagree with you on this 1,000%. I think Kelly Oubre stays.
I think he stays.
I really think he stays. Look at the impact he had this entire season. Yes, he got into 2 car accidents, but each time he comes back, he's better than ever. So I really think you can build something off of Kelly Oubre. Now, would you have him in your starting lineup for next year, or would you have that scoring power come off the bench if he does stay?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think it depends on what you bring in. I think if I think if you don't get a Paul George or Jimmy Butler or whatever, I think Oubre can start and add that scoring punch in the starting lineup. I like him. I like him as a starter.
Yeah, I love him too, and especially when he was on the Charlotte Hornets, he averaged 20 points off the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't see that nowadays. You really don't. Like, only people I could think of are Malik Monk, Bobby Portis. Those are the only two people I could think of. And they give the Sixth Man of the Year award to Naz Reid. I'm like, don't even get me started on that. Don't even get me started. Yeah, a guy who got traded that played well for us? Who? Butler? Who? Butler? Is that the only guy you're thinking of? I would love Butler back, but it's just like it would be so funny. It would be honestly so funny because I have this little bit suspicion that Joel B might request a trade. Do you think he might do that? Because look how well he dominated on one leg and half a face. Do you think he
I
will request
sure
a
hope
trade?
not. I
I
sure
agree.
hope not. Although I would be lying if I told you it didn't cross my mind today too.
Yeah.
Uh, I, I think he's in, but it's almost like you say it every year. Oh, if they don't do it this year, he might. If they don't do it this year, he might. We'll
Yeah.
see.
And then you have people, Marquise Morris, one of the Morris brothers. Yeah. He was involved in that Buddy Hield trade, 3 second-round picks, and him. He's gone. So, yeah, we could have kept him. But now people are saying, I'm starting to agree with this. Tyrese Maxey, do you give him the keys and have Joel Embiid step back? I'm for it to an extent. Man, extent is my favorite word today.
Nah, it's Joel's team. It's Joel's team. Tyrese, he's unbelievable. I hope he's here forever. And he seems like the kind of guy that wants to stay here. But Joel's got the keys.
I feel like it could be Maxey's if it was built correctly. If you
Okay.
had those wings, because we don't have those like 6'4" to 6'8", 6'9" wings that can create their own shot. We don't have those guys.
Oh wait, what about
anywhere.
Tobias Harris?
Don't even get me started now. Don't even get me started. But hey, I thought he could guard positions 1 through 5. I thought he could do this. I thought he could do that, right? But he's nowhere.
I got you started. That's on me.
No, you're good. I'm fine with that. Keep doing it. That's fine. Because, dude, I made 2 videos actually calling Crumble Cookie, and they accepted the trade twice. I'm gonna do that again. People want me to do it again.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm gonna probably make that phone call tomorrow. So guys, stay tuned. Might be a new video coming out. But yeah, man, what a letdown. But we have 60 mil in the cap. I'm still shocked by that. And we own our draft picks, unlike Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn got the worst out of it all. I feel like Brooklyn got it worse.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Morris, dude. Can you imagine if we kept Morris? Can you imagine that? He would have been a perfect 4 or 5.
I know. I was big on him when we got him, and then, gone.
It's just freaking crazy. But I have to give a nod to Tom Thibodeau. That defensive scheme he puts up against us, like he double team Tyrese Maxey for the whole game, and they were like, "Let Joel Embiid go down low. There's nothing we can do. There's literally nothing we can do, but we can stop his sidekick, Tyrese Maxey." Like now, teams are gonna pick on that for the next year. People are gonna study that, learn from Tom Thibodeau, and be like, "Okay, this is what we have to do to stop Tyrese Maxey." So. We definitely need that third scoring punch. We definitely do, unless you built the perfect roster.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do we have more cap than OKC? No, OKC has over 100 mil. We have 60 mil. They have more cap space than us. Of course. They've done everything right. Yeah. OKC did the process correct.
They sure did.
They've done it correct. And they have Isaiah Joe, too. Can you imagine if we kept Isaiah Joe? That just bothers me. Charles Bassey is gone. He's with Wembanyama over in the Spurs. It's just like thank you, Doc Rivers, for ruining our future with those two. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But now it's just like, I feel like we're not going to make that mistake again with Nick Nurse. And Daryl Morey might get rid of some guys like Ricky Council. This is my question with Ricky Council. Why would you give him that 4 years, 7.3 mil, and not play him in the playoffs? So what was the point of that? Like for
Yeah,
toying with us, here's Ricky Council. You want him? Like
I
it didn't
know.
make it,
I
like that
agree.
really makes no sense.
I thought for sure game 3 we were gonna see him.
Really, I
Because
thought
why not? And we didn't.
I thought it was going to be game 6. I thought
Yeah.
we were going to see him last night. I thought we were going to see him in game 5. I thought we were going to see him in game 4, 2-1. I thought we were going to see him some point in the series, but no. I've been telling Knicks fans, don't be surprised if next year the Sixers come back with a much better team. You are not wrong there. You are not wrong. Isaiah Joe is a free agent, but I would definitely think with all the cap space that the Thunder have, they're going to keep him. They're definitely going to keep Isaiah Joe. That guy is just like a sniper. He's a sniper. Yeah. What are your two guys' ideal 10-man roster, including a player we draft and players we pick up and Embiid and Maxey? That's a good question.
Wow.
Oh, like, okay. I'm going to start with the draft because do you study the draft? Like, do you know who's coming out in colleges and stuff?
A little bit. I follow a lot of college basketball, but I'm not sure who our targets are.
Okay. So, one, Jared McCain out of Duke. I want a guy who's a dog off the bench. I want a guy who can shoot 40% from 3 that can actually step up when we need someone to step up. And that's the guy mentality I want. And a big guy, people keep on talking about Zach Edey. Now, I'm like, I feel like he'll be gone. I feel like I don't like Zach Edey. I'm not a fan. His lateral quickness is too slow.
Mhm.
So that's just not my personal opinion, but people may want him. So those are my two guys I would get. I would negotiate Zach Edey, but I would definitely get Jerry McCain. So, do you have anyone like you're eyeing on for the entire team?
I
Purpose?
I do like the McCain. I
Yeah.
do like that idea. I think, yeah, he's solid. He's solid. Um,
He's a
phew.
puncher. Yeah.
Again, I think stars or not, like what really matters is the kind of the right fit.
Yes.
And obviously, we know we need shooters. Like, because again, I mean, Nick Batum's had success because he can knock down a corner 3, and he can play defense. And if we get guys like that, whether it's him or or other ones, it has to be someone that can fill that role. And I mean, I feel like I don't know if it's just a Sixers thing or if I need to pay more attention around the league. Like, I feel like for years, especially under Brett Brown, like the Sixers have had teams where it's like 2 guys can score off the dribble.
Yeah.
Like, and this
Yeah.
is the National Basketball Association. And I feel like we have those problems even today because a continuation of where Brett Brown left us. And like, we need guys that you can give them the ball and they can go put the ball in the hoop. It's really that simple. So I can't give you a specific name, Lake Monk, yeah, but we need a guy that can do that. So
Like for me, I'm trying to think on power forwards we could definitely use. But for right now, I'm just thinking about Malik Monk, Bruce Brown, just for the defensive side with Bruce Brown, that intensity he brings. I want Cameron Payne back.
mhm.
I want those guys there. Kyle Lowry, I wanted him back in the beginning of the year, but now I'm like, he can go too. He could go retire. Batum is going to stay, in my opinion. Kelly Oubre is going to stay. There's just some. I don't think Paul Reed is going to stay now. Maybe he
Mhm.
does because he's a fan favorite. But for me, after what I've seen in these playoffs, I think he is gone. I want Drummond, but I don't think he's going to come here. I think he's stuck in Chicago. And then you have, I remember DeAndre Jordan. Like, he made an impact for us as well. No one's talking about him. I don't even. No, wait, he retired, right? No, is that
Yeah,
Blake Griffin?
he might be
Blake Griffin
gone.
retired. Oh, Jordan retired too?
I don't
Damn.
know. Let me see.
Yeah. I know Blake Griffin retired. That's one. It's just freaking. You know who? It's just like so difficult. I would love to bring Derek White. Derek
Jordan's on
White.
the fence.
He's on the fence.
I think so.
All right. Like maybe something, but I would love Derek White. I don't think he's leaving Boston. I highly doubt He's leaving Boston. He just got paid, I think. So that's the one guy I would definitely bring if I could bring him in. That's Derek White. He's freaking killing me. This whole freaking team. Now, do you think D'Anthony Melton's going to stay if he's healthy?
I would love to see him stay. I think that's a possibility. I know fans got frustrated with him this year with the injuries, and was he back? Is he not back? Is his back okay? Like, even because we saw him in the playoffs briefly, but when he's healthy, he's good, man. And I think he plays a role that not many people can play on this team. I mean, think about if we had him to guard Brunson a little bit. Like Oubre was on Brunson the majority of the time, or Batum, but I mean, Melton's probably the guy you would choose, and he wasn't available. So
remember when they put Tobias Harris on Brunson?
I do. I do.
How do you think of these things? How do you think? How different would the Sixers team look next year? Don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. The entire free agency is at our grasp. The entire free agency. Please get a new health staff. Yep, I was going to get into that. How do you feel about this medical staff?
I don't even know. I feel like there was a lot of questions this year just on like when a guy's going to come back, when he's not. Yeah, like the perfect example is Melton. We had no idea. Covington, we have, like you said earlier, lost. We have no idea where he was, but yeah, I don't know.
And then the same thing with Embiid too. They wouldn't give us a deadline. They wouldn't say like 2 weeks, 1 week, certain day, minutes restrictions. They gave us nothing.
Right. A lot of speculation this year.
And it's just like, oh my God. You're hurting your own product. You will not sell tickets. You got to let them know, okay, Embiid is going to come here against the Lakers or something. You got to do that, dude. You got to do that. It's just like, you look at all these other medical staffs. Crazy. Can we file a missing persons on Covington?
Exactly.
I would love that. I would love that. Covington is gone. Watch him because I heard that Covington was supposed to come back like before the playoffs started. And then now it's just like, yeah, all right, there goes Covington. No one knows where he's from. Like,
exactly.
His defense I miss so much. At first, I'm like, okay, we got Covington. He got a nice 3-and-D, guys. He's a guy we could definitely rely on when it comes to shooting from the corner. And then now he plays small ball 5. Now it's just like, okay, what are we doing with? What are we dealing with now? I hate this team, but I love this team, man. I hate it, but I love it. It's my number one. It's my freaking number one. So, how'd you feel when Patrick Beverly got traded for Campaign?
Kind of like I mentioned earlier. I mean, Pat Bev was great in his time here, but I think as far as fit and as far as again not switching like drastically too much from when Tyrese Maxey takes a sit, I think Campaign was the better fit there because just schematically he can do some of the same things in a pick and roll that Tyrese does, and Pat Bev can't. So I think he just fit better.
Yeah, with Cameron Payne, I was telling everybody, if we got the Phoenix Suns Cameron Payne, we are fine. And to an extent, we got that.
Yep.
We got Cameron Payne. That Cameron Payne that I wanted. And I was telling everybody, slow down, hold your horses. This guy's a sniper. This guy is streaky. Off the bench, if he can put up like 4 or 5 threes a game. That's all I needed. Pat Bev was all about the defense, shoving, getting to your face, and just being obnoxious. Did you see what he did in the interview? Did you see that? Oh my God. He's like, did you subscribe to my podcast? Then who cares? It's just like, that is typical Pat Bev. He loves to get underneath your skin, but now he's just like, Pat Bev, what do you want? What do you do now? What do you do now? You don't step up. Yeah. And then Spongy nailed it. What? With Springer? I'm not a big fan of Springer. I wasn't. How about you? Were you a fan of Springer?
I was a fan. I think that one, just like felt odd because what we got, what do we get? Money or a pick?
We got money or picks, yeah.
Yeah. Like that was odd to send him to the Celtics. Like that was the worst part, right? You send him to freaking Minnesota or something like that, it wouldn't have been as bothered, but to send him to Boston was weird.
Yeah. And then I wish keep on saying he's Ben Simmons with the with a little bit of a jump shot because he's just there for defense. And I'm like, do we really need defense now? Like, do we really need defense? We need more scoring.
Right,
We
we've
need a
tried
guy.
that.
We tried it all the freaking time. It's just like, how much longer can we wait? And since I'm a part of Edge of Philly Sports, the intros has Jared Springer with the block on Boston Celtics. And I'm like, really? You put that in? How about him dunking? How about him putting up a shot? So it's like, oh, that's not there. Oh, okay. LOL. Boston, our best defense. Yeah, he was one of our best defensive players, but that was when everybody was injured. That was when Covington was injured. Batum was injured. Melton was injured. I can go on and on. If those guys were playing, he would not even step foot on the floor. He would not step foot on the floor. Am I wrong? He showed. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna. Someone make a picture of that. I would laugh. But Celtics. Okay. Yeah. Alrighty then. You stick to that. So it's just freaking like Jared Springer. It's just like it is what it is. I don't think he's gonna stay. He's not even stepping foot on the floor in Boston. He's not even stepping on the floor. He's gonna be a free agent. Watch us get him back.
I
That
know,
would be
right?
funny. That would be funny. He was like, yeah, yeah. I don't know why Boston in here. We wouldn't have played you anyways. Like, why are you even
Yeah,
here?
let's chill out with
Like,
that.
that's crazy. Hey, Porzingis is out for his foreseeable future. Like that is a big hit. That is
Yeah,
honestly a big hit. It's just this team is crazy. It's insane. But the thing that bothers me the most, besides Tobias Harris, it's just Joel Embiid in the clutch. In the clutch, yesterday he did good. A couple days he did good, but most of the time he's nowhere to be found.
mm.
And does that bother you? How he's like nowhere to be found?
In this series, not as much, just given what he was battling when he was playing, but yeah, at times. And then even last night, some of the things more so than like um his clutch factor was more so what bothered me was like just taking untimely shots.
Yeah.
Bad poor decision making. Those are the kind of things that kind of irritate me with Joel.
It's just like people call him the playoff choker, even though he's one of the best damn players in the league, but you can't be mad at him. When you look at all the supporting cast, it's like, who's here to step up? No one's consistent as hell. The most consistent guy is Oubre. That's the most consistent guy. Then when you look at all these other roster players, it's just like, yeah, Buddy Hield, nowhere to be found. Last game, we found him. Batum, nowhere to be found. Found him, Miami Heat. Found him again. And then TJ McConnell. TJ McConnell, 20 points off the bench last night. He had 20 points off the bench. I miss McConnell. I miss him. You miss
Me too.
McConnell?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Like, that guy's a dog.
He
That guy's
is.
an utter dog.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy he's still doing what he's doing, It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Oh, thank you for the follow on Twitch. I appreciate that. Thank you. I got a Boston Celtics fan following a Sixers fan.
Hey.
Perfect. Hey, I'll take that, man. I'll take that. Subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. And his link, tell him about your link, is in the description again. Tell us about your channel.
Yeah, Planet 76 podcast. It's doing it for a long time now, a few years, and we love it. So I get to co-host that with my friend Michael. All things Sixers coming at you all year long. We try and record at least once a week, and then the playoffs we really step it up toward the end of the regular season. You're just getting episodes, content everywhere. We're on Instagram, so we let you know anytime a new episode comes, or drop videos or drop clips even there, so you can get a little taste of what you're looking at with Planet 76, and then we're available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those pages as well. It's great. We love it. We love the Sixers, and we're going to keep on rolling even until the wheels fall off. All right. So we're going to keep going.
Yeah. Now, you on Twitter? Because I think I found you on Twitter. Is that you?
Yeah, I am personally on Twitter, and we do have an do have a Twitter as well
Yeah, I
for the
found it.
podcast.
I tagged you in a tweet, so that was you. I just want to make sure that was you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Buddy Hield become a free agent for the first time in his career. That is actually insane. And
That
this is
is.
the first time he scored in the playoffs last night. First time he actually scored in the playoffs. So I would keep him last night from last night. I would. Honestly. If we get that Buddy Hield consistently. When we had TJ and JJ Redick, those were the times. JJ Redick was just one of those players that you just love to watch. Him running around the screens, shooting three. That's what Buddy Hield could be.
Yep.
That's what Buddy Hield could be. You brought it up earlier, and I agree with that 1,000%. It's just like now we just need other players. What is up, Richie? No, I do not have a Tobias Harris jersey. I would not have a Tobias Harris jersey in my life. When Ben Simmons got traded, right? It's actually a video on channel. You can look it up. The day we traded him, I had a Ben Simmons shirt, and I threw it in a trash can. And I was like, that's not recyclable. So I took it out and threw it in a recyclable, threw it in the trash. So that was actually on my channel right there. But yeah, that's nowhere to be found. I'm telling you right now. I'm surprised I haven't seen any Tobias Harris jerseys burnt yet.
I know, right?
Kind of surprised.
No one owned any, so
Right? Oh my god. I think my friend had when he was what was it, 12 or the first number he had
33.
was yes, it was 33. Yeah. And I told him, why do you have that garbage in the house? You have a nice house. He's like, yeah, but I need somewhere to put my trash. I'm like, fine. Take that. So yeah, now we gotta wait for the playoffs to be over. The free agency is gonna start. So how do you feel about the rest of these playoffs before we close out?
Oh gosh, it's gonna be hard. It's always hard when Sixers lose to follow, but I think the Eastern Conference is gonna be interesting for sure. Some interesting matchups. Indiana and New York. I would give the slight edge to New York. I think in that series, just based on what they did with us. Um, Someone said it. Someone said Boston's got the easiest walk to the finals that anyone's had.
No,
I don't know if I think it's that easy, but I
it's
think they're heavy
definitely not.
favorites to reach the finals out of the East. And obviously, you got to notice what OKC is doing and what Denver's doing. I think they might be on a collision or a crash course to find themselves together down the
Yeah,
stretch. So
the Lakers expired Darvin Ham. The Lakers
yeah,
expired Darvin Ham, and I think LeBron is saying, stay there in LA, stay there. You got businesses, your kid, stay there. I don't want any of these guys on my roster. I
mhm.
do not. Because once LeBron comes here, he's going to want the roster that he wants. He's going to be like, okay, give me this guy, give me that guy. He's going to stay with Magic because of the agency. Nick Nurse works for Clutch Points. So for me, I'm just like, I don't know. I would not do Paul George either. Paul George, I would give him 2 years and a team option on third. Like, I would not give him 3 or 4 years. Nope, sorry. I think he's just staying with LeBron. No, LeBron will not go to Boston. Knicks versus Celtics. I got the Knicks coming out of the East.
Yeah.
I got the Knicks coming out of the East because I think they're too physical for Boston.
I mean, like I said, through 2 games, it felt like a whole series you watched, and like they're physical. They're got a bunch of menaces and they're annoying, and that could get under Boston's skin for sure.
Yeah, I want LeBron, but not his son. I don't want LeBron. I really do not. I think he's staying in LA. I really freaking do. LeBron, yeah. Denver, what? You got Boston versus Denver? That was my prediction in the beginning of the year.
Yeah, it's
It's just like, you know what's the funniest thing about being a Sixers fan? They get us all hyped up for the season, keep on going, we're closer, and then we get disappointed, then they pull me right back in.
every
They
year.
pull-
Yeah, let me ask you this: would you have rather? It was 2 months of hell with the stretch that we went on without Embiid. Knowing what you know now, would you have rather just Embiid sat out the rest of the season, we lose in the play-in and we're done, or rather what happened?
Honestly, I've been talking about that with my dad. Since he's a doctor, he's all about the medical field and everything.
Uh,
So I'm like, my dad was like, just have him sit. Don't have him embarrass himself. Let's not get him any worse, and then we'll build from there for next year. But I'm like, whenever you see the team out there without Embiid, it's like a minus 36. So for me, I'm just like, we need him, but I want him to stay healthy. But how many times are we going to keep on saying that? How many times are we going to be like, if he was healthy, that's why I don't want Paul George. If he was healthy,
mhm.
that's why I don't want Kawhi. If he was healthy, so for me, I'm just like, Odell Beckham Jr. went to the Dolphins.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's honestly crazy. Brunson needs to be tested for the. Oh my god, for the headbutt. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'm still a huge fan of Brunson. I went to school with Leon Rhodes' daughter, so I'm like, I know the family personally. So I'm like, I kind of am stuck doing it. I'm stuck, so I'm fine with it. Hey, if you're on my Twitch, come over to the YouTube, Miss Totsy, and then go check out to him, Planet 76 podcast. So, all right, it looks like we're about to close it out here. Thank you for joining me just to get our emotions out of the way and
Yeah.
just like having fun. So hopefully you can come back on and we'll just shoot this shit some more during the off season.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you having me on. It was good. And like you said, felt a little bit of therapy here to get it out. So thanks for having me on.
Of course, man. Let the people know where they can find you. Your link is pinned in the top of the chat and it's also in the description below. So let the people know where they can find you again.
Awesome. Yeah, Planet 76 podcast, Instagram. We post all the time, letting you know when episodes are coming. We post episode clips. You can find us, our channel on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all that good stuff. We cover the Sixers all throughout the year, not just during the season, but even the off season. So we got some good stuff even coming up. Excited to have you come on over and join us. Give us a follow, and yeah.
Hey, it's all about the Sixers, but Richie brings up a good point here. How do you feel about the USA team with Embiid?
That Embiid's playing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
just pray he doesn't get hurt.
Right?
That's about
Like,
it.
he was going to play for France, but he backed down. Now he's with the USA. And I'm just like, please, for the love of God. But it's every single day in the game. So, like, just have fun. He can learn from how to win and close out situations from those guys. So, oh, he posted a bid. All right, I'll check that out. Gold medals in Olympic basketball is not impressive to an extent, but France did get Wembanyama. So Wembanyama is there, Rudy Gobert is there. Can you imagine if they had Wemby, Gobert, and Embiid?
I know, right? Yeah. Play
That,
Wemby at the 3.
yeah, that would be crazy. But yes, guys, you can follow us on Twitter. The links are in the description. Everything's in the description. Oh, we got a lot of off seasons. I'm gonna clip some of these, put it on the channel. If you want to clip some of these, you can download it, put it on your channel as well. So, guys, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. A lot of off-season content is coming. I am streaming the Nuggets versus Timberwolves tomorrow night. That will be fun. That's the best series of them all. That's the best series. So,
I agree.
on that note, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I'll catch you all tomorrow morning for the weekend wake up with me and Philly halftime. Peace, guys.